Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and welcome to our episode of Sunday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming-related questions, and then I'll give my humble opinion on them. To get the formalities out of the way real quick, if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below, or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. The first question for today comes from Davis, and it is, do you think that Operation Health should have a big ending reward since it was such a wasteful season? Well, I don't know if I go as far to say that it's been completely wasteful. I know the community likes to joke about Operation Health, and even I joke about it because it has been a bit disappointing so far, but there has been some significant improvements. Probably the biggest one is the one-step matchmaking. I don't know if you guys remember it hasn't been that long, but matchmaking wasn't perfect before this update. One-step matchmaking not only just gets us into games faster, but allows us to explore the menus. You can go into the shop, you can change your loadouts, you can customize your operators. You can now open up alpha packs if you so desire while going through the matchmaking system. None of this was possible before that. And so just right there, one of the core components of any competitive first-person shooters, the matchmaking system, got a complete revamp and in my opinion has been a significant improvement. Now the one thing I think that will make or break it though is going to come down to this next big patch update, which is supposedly going to be upgrading the servers, which will significantly improve the netcode. If they're not able to deliver on that promise, then I'm going to be right there with you sharing my disappointments. Yes, the one-step matchmaking has been phenomenal. The changes to Hibana so her gadget doesn't glitch out has been a nice step in the right direction. Alpha packs, while they have no correlation to Operation Health, has been a really cool addition into the game. All of these things have been great, but I think at the end of the day what's going to come down to are these server updates. Our bullets need to land when we're hitting headshots. Not getting a headshot when we see blood fly all over the place is incredibly frustrating, and this next patch, from my understanding, is going to significantly improve those problems. Ubisoft has put themselves in a difficult position, and I'm assuming this was a tough call on their end, because they knew that this was going to happen. All of these things on the back end take time, and they're not flashy. It's kind of a thankless job. We're not getting new operators. We're not getting new maps. Upgrading the server's tick rate from 50 Hz to 60 Hz is nowhere near as flashy as a brand new operator to play with. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to reserve my judgment until that patch releases. Everyone's complaining right now about poor netcode, poor hit registration, and this is exactly what it's trying to fix. I mean, we're complaining that there's these problems, and that's what they're trying to improve upon. We just got to give them time. I know it sucks. I'm right there with you. If this patch doesn't deliver, I'm going to be just as disappointed as you are. But until that patch releases, I'm going to be reserving my judgment until then. The next question comes from Tyler, and it is, what if they buffed Tatanka by giving him a second turret to drop for a teammate to use? I get a lot of recommendations on how to improve Tatanka, and a lot of them get a bit complex. Some people think that he needs to have wheels on them. Some people think that his shield needs to be upgraded in some manner or the other. But this would be a very, very simple upgrade, giving him just 2 gadgets instead of 1, which could honestly make him a lot better than he is right now. Not only just because this would allow 2 people to have access to his turrets, but also allow him to be much more mobile. The biggest weakness of Tatanka is that when he's in that turret, he's incredibly susceptible to enemy fire. As long as the enemy knows that he's there, yes, that shield might be able to protect him for a couple of seconds, but the enemy, if they know what they're doing, is going to have no time, or is going to have no problem avoiding him, or just flat out taking him down. And so what's interesting about your suggestion is that it gives Tatanka more options and honestly just simply more mobility. If the enemy realizes that you're in one turret, you can then just mosey on over to the other corner that you've established when you were starting on up and get into your second turret. So the enemy comes on in, thinks that you're in one, you're in the other, you take them down from that established location. That solves that problem where Tatanka can't really use his turret effectively because he's always stationary. You could also establish front lines. You could have one turret that kind of slows them down to begin with and then fall back to a more defensive location once they break that front line. That would be another option. Now, the one thing I could think of for why Ubisoft may never want to do something like this is that it sort of goes against his core design, which is that he's got one big clunky turret that takes a long time to establish, but once you do get it all set up, supposedly, in theory, you're meant to be a juggernaut and really difficult to deal with. As we all know, though, that's not how Tatanka works whatsoever in reality, and I think a lot of people would agree that he could use some more improvements. Now, that does maybe get to another problem. That is the fact that maybe he doesn't need 2 turrets, he just needs more improvements to his shield or some other aspect. If he's meant to stay in one spot and only in one spot, then he should be good at that. And I agree with it. But if they're not going to commit to upgrading his shield or doing something along those lines, I think this would be a really interesting solution to the problem. And so I would love if Ubisoft explored it. I don't know if it would all of a sudden make him a top tier operator. I don't think that would be whatsoever, but I definitely think it would give him more mobility. It would give him more options. And at the end of the day, that would be a good thing for Tatanka. The next question comes from Tristan, and it is, do you think that Ubisoft could do more to help new players? For example, a lobby only for new players. My cousin bought the game recently, and he kept on getting kicked from casual games before the match even started. This has been a topic of discussion lately because you're absolutely right. Anyone that's trying to get involved in Rainbow Six Siege for the first time is gonna have some difficulties. Last time we talked about in Sunday Mailbox how there's already an incredible amount of maps that you have to learn, all of their intricacies. Then you have the operators on top of that. Then when you're paired with people that have been here since the very beginning, well, yes, they may not be amazing, they may not be diamond tier, but even a gold player or a silver player who knows what they're doing, knows the maps, is gonna be able to absolutely dominate these new players who have no idea what's going on around them. And so one idea that has been bounced around is the one that you recommended, which is just to have a noob casual mode, where for the first 20 or 30 levels or something like that, you're only in this noob queue. You can only be paired with people that are brand new to the game, and that will hopefully lighten the load. That way, everyone's new, and they're experiencing the game like all of us did when we first jumped on in. And while yes, they won't get all of the strategies down because they're playing against new players, which don't know the strategies to begin with, at least it gives them a taste of what Rainbow Six Siege has to offer. Hopefully it will hook them and they'll want more, and then when they do get to that next just normal casual bracket what we have right now, they'll be in it for the long haul and they'll be here to stay. The problem with this, though, much like any solution, is that it's not perfect. The biggest thing is that it splits up the player base. How many people are in that 20 to level 30 brackets? If someone's new, jumps on in, and they don't have a wide pool of players to fight against, that could increase queue times. We just talked about how one-step matchmaking has been great, but if it just simply isn't enough people to be in those queues, you're waiting a long time to get into a game, and that right there might be a detraction enough so that they don't continue to play the game. If you're having to wait upwards of 10-15 minutes just to find anyone to play against, that could be a big turnoff. The other thing that we have to consider are Smurf accounts. You know that there would be people that would buy Rainbow Six Siege when it went on sale just so that they could play in these lower brackets, which is the same problem that we have right now. And so while I do think that Ubisoft should look into something like this, just know that there isn't a perfect solution. All of them have their problems, but that doesn't mean that they should ignore them entirely, because I really do think that the health of this game is going to rely on new blood coming on in, and that is something that they should be addressing. The next question comes from Riley, and it is, what do you think about Ubisoft taking away the ability to earn renown when you play solo T-hunts? Yeah, I'm not really a fan of the way that Ubisoft handled this. So if you're not aware, there was an exploit when you played solo T-hunts where you could get about 50,000 renown in one day all by yourself. I believe this is the reason why everyone was getting banned by BattlEye just a couple of days ago. If you notice when you're playing on PC, there was like hundreds of people getting banned in one big batch. This was one of the reasons why. The thing is, though, is that Ubisoft's solution to this exploit is just eliminating renown entirely when you are solo playing T-hunts. Really? Like, that's your solution? You couldn't think of anything else? And while I know this doesn't affect the large majority of the player base, a lot of you guys probably don't even touch T-hunts. This just seems like a very bad Band-Aid fix. You couldn't think of any other way to work around the problem. And so while once again, I'm not really affected by it, I only play it every once in a while to get warmed up, just to kind of get my aim going. But there are people out there that do like to play solo T-hunt, and now they're no longer going to get this renown. And so yeah, this just sucks. I know that Ubisoft came out and said that they were reluctant, they thought about it long and hard, but this is the only solution to the problem. It rubs me the wrong way. That's basically what it comes down to. It doesn't affect a lot of people. Most people are playing this game for the multiplayer, but I really wish they could have found another workaround. But yeah, guys, that is it for today's episode of Sunday Mailbox. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about what we discussed in today's video. Do you like the idea of giving Tatanka 2 gadgets instead of 1? Do you think that that would be a really cool improvement to him? Do you think that they should tackle it in another way? Let me know down below in the comments section. As always, if you would like to submit your own question for an upcoming episode, you can also leave a comment down below or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one and take it easy.